Good morning, one and all. It's time for Savannah Lexicon. How are you doing today? I do appreciate you listening. This is WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And, I do appreciate you joining in this morning. If you are brand new, let me just tell you that Savannah Lexicon is essentially a show designed to inform the listener about important social, political, and cultural issues that shape Savannah, as well as about opportunities to experience things in and around this beautiful city that might bring an added measure of grace and joy to your life. My guest here this morning is Michael Tucker, Executive Director of WorkSource Coastal, and we're going to talk about some of the employment situations and employment services that are available out there in and around Savannah. But before we get to that, I have to take care of a little business, and I know you're all waiting impatiently for this first bit, because if you've heard the show before, you know that the one of the very first things I've got to do is the world famous general disclaimer. So let me not keep you in suspense or waiting any longer. I must tell you that the viewpoints expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff. Now, I know that was exciting, so we will follow up with even more here, even more excitement. Michael Tucker, Executive Director, WorkSource Coastal. How are you doing today, sir?
Great. Good morning, Wayne. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming in this morning and speaking with us. Obviously, employment issues are an important element in Savannah's scenario, and something that we're always looking to, of course, increase the percentage of employment. However, I will say that apparently not long ago, the numbers came in pretty good in general. Georgia Department of Labor statistics for the Savannah metro area. Now, this is not quite up to date, but something like almost 180,000 payroll jobs, increase of nearly 2% compared to a year ago, outpacing population growth for the past several years. And most of the jobs in four broad sectors: professional business services, education and health services, leisure and hospitality, not surprising, and government, certainly not surprising. And unemployment rate of something like about 4% or something around that. So, those numbers are not bad, but obviously they could be better, and there are a lot of, there are sectors of the population out there who need some employment and always looking for jobs and that sort of thing. So tell us briefly, as I understand it, WorkSource Coastal is kind of you're not literally per se a city organization, and I'll let you explain this, but you do work closely with the city and work on a contact basis, I'm assuming, at least with the city, though the organization is actually, if I understand it, is nationwide, and then, of course, there's a Georgia contingent as well. So just describe briefly for us the nature of the organization.
Great. Well, we are a federally funded workforce development agency, so we serve the 10-county coastal region. So Screven all the way down to Camden. So we are a department with the city, so we are city employees, but it's kind of that situation where we are, our mission is also to serve the rest of the 9 counties and, the unincorporated. So we have a very good connection to the city being, a department. So, we go to meetings with the cities. We report to the Community and Economic Development Bureau, but we're tasked with pretty unique jobs outside of, what you would see for a city. We are one of 19 agencies in Georgia, so that's the local identifier in Georgia is WorkSource. So we're under the Georgia Department of Economic Development, so that's where the funds flow. So funds flow through the U.S. Department of Labor, then to the Georgia Department of Economic Development, Workforce Division, and then through the counties, our 10 counties in a consortium agreement. So this gets pretty complicated.
Wow. Yes,
and then to the city, and then to us. So we're tasked by those counties to provide good services, to provide, job training, to transitioning veterans, underemployed, unemployed, youth programs as well. And then we do business services. So there's a whole host of things that we can do to help the local communities.
Okay. Wow. All right. But you are technically a department of the city.
Correct.
I didn't really realize that. I thought that I didn't know it was a literal department of the city. But okay. Well, good. I'm glad that's an interesting connection there with all sorts of things and streams of funding and revenue and government and everything else. But at any rate, now your Savannah office, if I have this correct, primarily your sort of job center is 7216 Skidaway Road.
Correct, sir.
And that Suite C called, Savannah One Stop is the name that I saw referenced. So that is the local office. There are offices in Rincon and Hinesville and other cities a little further out, but generally in the coastal area. So you at the office, for instance, you have a number of programs and a number of assets available to residents in Chatham County and Savannah. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. I know that you have employment and training sorts of resources, workshops, skills training for both youth and adults. So in a general overall sense, just give us a sense of what kinds of maybe one or two of the workshops and what kinds of programs that is offered kind of through the office there.
Okay, and it's usually when folks come in, it's more about the value of what they're needed. They could be unemployed or underemployed, so it's kind of looking at. Sure. We talked about they had those four broad structures. So we analyze labor market information and take a look at sectors and help folks make an informed decision on where they maybe want to go next or how to connect to a job. And that can be just some rapid reemployment, point them in the right direction, or we may have to do we're doing some recruitment for some employers at that point, and then connect them that way. Or it could be someone that needs some additional job training. So we can take a look at enrolling them in the program, which is income-based, but it's decently high. It's not poverty level. We're talking about folks that can be employed still and be eligible, and it's based on your family size. But we provide scholarships for in-demand training. So again, it's got to be in those sectors. It's got to be for an occupation that is considered in demand by our board and shows growth over the next 5 to 10 years. Or it could be possibly for a group of employers that are looking for one kind of skill set. Okay. Those scholarships will fund $6,000 a year for up to 2 years. Now, a lot of times Pell will be in first, so we can use that money to support anything that Pell doesn't pay, or we can pay for training that is not Pell eligible, which is usually a fast track program or through continuing education. So it's a whole host of those things. So even we can do workshops, the typical job readiness, teach you how to do a resume or take a look at, how you're filling out applications. Because a lot of times that's the difficult part for folks. They don't get that. They don't see your resume maybe 10 pages and says the wrong things. And we have kind of an expert eyes on it to take a look at it and say, hey, let's make some changes here, or have you thought about applying here? We're going all online. There aren't a whole lot of paper pencil applications anymore. So folks need to brush up on some of their internet skills, and we can help with that too. We've got a 18-person PC lab there where we can do some of that training. We also do some assessment testing as well, kind of see where you're at with some levels and your skill level, and then go towards some of the soft skills training. That's one of the things that in recent study, in the last few years that CETA, Armstrong, and the Chamber did, it's some of the workforce is lacking a little in the soft skills.
Yeah, and referencing that is important, and I guess some people sort of, I don't know, can sort of take this kind of stuff for granted, but you don't really understand it. Not necessarily everybody out there has got the skills in terms of what you might call work readiness training, in terms of understanding, the time clock and the need to be on time and all of those sorts of things, and also the interviewing skills. I mean, that's something that really almost anybody can use at least a brush up on, but some may need more than just a little brush up on how to conduct themselves during an interview, how to dress appropriately, and all of those sorts of things that generally are some of the things that I think are included in this idea of soft skills. So you guys do a good bit with that as well, huh?
We do, and that you would think that would be one of the workshops that a lot of folks would attend, but we see low attendance in a lot of those workshops. People, I think, just assume that they've got this and they've got it all under control. But like you said, that's the big issue, to where if we have such a low unemployment rate, folks have to be out there fighting for a job. It's finding a job is a job. It's tough. You got to put a lot of effort into it, and we're here to help. But people have got to be able to make that right connection, and I think through our education and pointing and making connections, and our connection to employers can definitely help.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. It's and you're right. I mean, it is a job, and that's how you have to approach it. You have to approach finding a job like it is the job, and be serious about it, and devote sufficient time and preparation to it, because, as you say, we do have a low level of unemployment, so it's a pretty competitive kind of scenario. And so there is a distinction, and if I have this right, there are sort of youth programs, which I have as employment and training resources for youths 16 to 24. Is that one category?
Correct, sir.
Okay. So 16. Well, yeah, you can certainly go to work at 16. Okay. So that's one category, and then of course adults in general, I guess, over that age are sort of put in a different frame of reference, I suppose. You've got some of these programs, if I see it right, for like a 9-month program that's available. Is that correct? I was looking at something online where there are certain kinds of programs that are laid out there for 9 years that can include GED instruction and construction training. This is actually one of the things where it's specifically designed for construction jobs.
Correct. So that would be our Youth Build program. So that's another federally funded program that we operate here in Savannah only. It's a separate grant from the other funding that we get. But along with the construction skills, the students will get leadership, those soft skills as well. So they actually earn a stipend while they're working, and as they do a good job, they're evaluated. And as they get better, they get a raise, just like you would at work. Some that struggle and continue not to do well, they don't get the raise. So it's based on your performance. And those students actually build a home every year.
That's what I understand, and I think that's just such a wonderful program that you have an opportunity for them. Number one, for the community involvement idea of it, the idea that you're doing something really good for your community, or a community in Savannah, perhaps your literal community, and you're able to do this and come in and get training, get paid while you're doing it, and as I understand, it is above minimum wage. I understand.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, it is.
So you're getting above minimum wage pay. You're an opportunity, and this again is for the youth 16 to 24. So you're getting all this training. You're getting learning skills that can be helpful to you, obviously, in getting additional employment later. and you're really doing something really good for the community. So that's a nice program. I like that.
And students, student to be eligible cannot possess a high school diploma, so a lot of it is academics as well.
Okay.
So there's a GED component to it, so you're doing kind of a dual academics and occupational skill training as well. So I'm hoping at the end of that 9 months, but you'll have your GED and then you'll have several certifications. So it's kind of a career ladder, or what we call stacking credentials in workforce development. So you may get your OSHA 10, you may get a PAC certificate. So it's a number of certificates that'll help. And it's really, you're not going to be able to jump right on and work for a full-blown construction company when you're done, but it give you those basic skills and also those those alarm clock 101 skills that we talked about, getting up on time, getting to work, understanding the job site, breaking it down at the end of the day, those kind of things. So I think you do have those basic skills, and you've proven yourself at that point. And I think a lot of times it's the confidence. So folks sometimes, lack that job confidence. Hey, I can get up every day and I can do this.
Okay, good. And was this something, and this may be, I'm jumping around all over the place here, I understand, but you seem to be able to keep up with me easily. So, but there was something I saw in the news a while back where you were trying to, and I forget the tag that was given, the name that was given to it, but where you were trying to offer sort of incentives to use a certain percentage of WorkSource Coastal employees or folks through the city, and then the hiring company would get some sort of incentive for doing that, for maintaining a certain percentage. Yeah. Is that going?
Yes, sir. That's okay. So it was passed not too long ago by the city council. So that's called Hire Savannah.
Hire Savannah.
And that'll kick off later this year, or actually in 2018. So it's just a good faith effort on some of the businesses that work with the city. So it's contracts of over $100,000 for covered services. So that is like security and landscaping and those kind of services, or over $250,000 for construction services. So it really it's a push to hire folks from Savannah. So the good faith effort is just try to hire folks that are from Savannah. So 25% is the goal. So if you have 4 openings, we're hoping that one person is qualified and is from the city of Savannah, and that you'll hire that person.
Right.
So it's and then, again, it's that good faith effort. So we're not saying, hey, take these folks that aren't qualified, that don't meet your needs.
Sure.
So it's up to our agency, so WorkSource Coastal, to be able to find those folks. So once the bid is awarded, and you have those openings, you contact us, then we'll start the connection. So if we can't find someone, say it's HVAC you need, and we can't connect to someone like that, or find someone from Savannah, we'll, of course, call around to all our partners and try to make that connection.
Right.
But we do have a talent pool. It's not very big at this point. It's a little over 300 folks. But we can connect to the Georgia Department of Labor through Employ Georgia and some other resources as well. But again, if we can't find that connection, you've met your good faith effort at that point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like a good thing all the way around to me, and for the employer as well. So that sounds like a good program. Let's kind of veer off here just a minute, and just get a nutshell on you. Where are you from?
Originally born in South Bend, Indiana, so I'm a recovering northerner.
Well, let me see, South Bend. Well, South Bend, that is northern Indiana.
Yes, sir.
Because I actually went to Indiana University, and there is a distinction, it seems to me, a little bit of a difference between sort of South Indiana and North Indiana.
Yes, sir.
So, but you're in the northern section, so that's true. So how long have you been here?
Been almost 2 years.
Okay, all right. And just briefly, sort of your professional background or what have you.
Yeah. So I originally started as a juvenile and probation officer and worked in detention for a short time. But I am a criminal justice grad from Indiana University. Okay. But I veered off into workforce development. So, being in northern Indiana, we started working in Michigan. So that's where the bulk of my workforce development experience is. I started off working in TANF programs, which is for folks that are on public assistance or, common terms, welfare. Was a case manager there helping those folks, then progressed from there and made several stops at different areas. And in Michigan, just like in Georgia, our agencies are divided up into different boards and regions.
Yeah.
So I was in Southwest Michigan and then went up West Michigan. So all along we call Lake Michigan the Big Lake. So ran a number of services, and Michigan's system is a little bit different from Georgia. Georgia has our services, and then you have Georgia Department of Labor, which can do similar services or run other programs. In Michigan, under the local identifier, which was Michigan Works, we operated all of the programs. So it was kind of a true one-stop, which is kind of what we're trying to do now in Georgia. So Georgia's a little bit behind, but it's just because of their structure. I mean, a lot of states are like that. I think Michigan, Texas, and maybe Florida are the ones that are a little bit are different from the standard.
Okay. All right. Good deal. So 2 years. Do you miss the winters?
No, the last winter we stayed in Muskegon, I think we got about 112 inches of snow.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Of course, you had fewer days that were high 90s and nearly 100% humidity too. So,
yeah, we might have had one or two that reached that in the summer. I'm not sure.
it's a trade-off. And just an aside here, but I can't resist it. Doesn't Indiana University have a beautiful campus?
Oh, gorgeous!
Man, one of the most beautiful campuses.
Don't really realize how beautiful Indiana is, especially southern. I mean, you've got the hills and everything, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay, enough Indiana. But okay. So, I mean, the thing is, obviously, again, we talk about a low unemployment rate, and yet at the same time, there always is this sense in this city that there are so many people who need jobs and can't find them or whatever it is. It's a difficulty, I guess one might say. But programs like this and like what you guys are doing are certainly designed and zeroed in on kind of addressing that issue. What do you find? Is there what sort of like outreach kind of thing? How do you get the message out? Well, you're doing this today, so that's one way.
Correct.
But how do you get the message out and try to get the message out to the right people? I mean, that's got to be a factor that comes into this.
Well, that's part of my job is to come on shows. Similar. This is my first experience on radio, and since I've been here. But it's also go out and talk to folks, meet employer groups, or just give presentations or meet folks or be involved in meetings. I'm involved in several different committees. But we do have a YouTube channel where there's a couple of videos that we've shot recently with WSAV on there to talk about our services and tell our story. A couple success stories where folks tell about their experience with what we do.
Good.
And then we'll have a new video up there pretty soon to where a great project that we had up in Bullitt County with Ogeechee Tech. So we partner with the technical colleges as well, Savannah Tech here. We do a lot of training with Georgia Tech as well too for transitioning veterans right on Fort Stewart. So, and then on our website. So we try to we know everyone's going more social media, more electronic, and it isn't in print ads or the classifieds anymore. So we try to go to where the folks are, and I think being a department with the city, that helps tremendously. Because,
I would think,
the city has a lot of different departments. You can get our name out. Just if I show up to a meeting and explain, hey, this is what we do. You've got a lot of folks that work for the city or are involved with the city in some way. It's easy to get the word out that way as well.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's got to be a tremendous help to be literally the department of the city. And everything that you guys are doing is going to include. I mean, if you're Googling out there or whatever, I mean, it's always going to include WorkSource Coastal. I'm assuming, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's our new name. And
right.
In the past, we were known as Coastal Workforce Services,
Mm.
and the Coastal Workforce Investment Board. So luckily our old website is no longer in use. It's actually expired. So folks will be directed towards ours. So that'll help. And it tells our story there. So we talk about our services, what's available, locations, those kind of things. And we're going to try to beef up the website in the coming days as well. More news. You can sign up for email alerts, those kind of things, talk about what we're doing. Our videos will be posted on there. So we'll be doing that, like I said, in the coming days.
Okay. And is it just worksourcecoastal.org?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So www.worksourcecoastal.org.
Mm-hmm. And then you've probably got a page or something maybe at the City of Savannah site, do you, or not?
No.
Okay.
I believe there's some information on there and connect through there, but I know they're going to be there doing some work on their website as well too. So, yeah, we can the videos that we shot. I know talking to the public information folks, will be putting those on the city site as well too.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. And I was going to touch on you had a youth. A summer youth employment program, I think, and maybe a internship kind of a thing. Is that still going? Is that
should be wrapping up, but it could still be going. So, with our dollars under the Workforce and Innovation Opportunity Act, we're able to fund youth programming, and summer youth is part of it. So. It's what we call a work experience. So it can be an unpaid internship, and we like to pay the folks. So it's usually it's the youth that are enrolled, or they can become enrolled. So you have to be active to the program. And right now, because of the change in federal legislation, the emphasis is more on out-of-school youth. To be eligible, we'll still serve in-school youth, but only a small number, because our dollars have to go towards 75% of all our funding has to go to that out-of-school. So just like Youth Build, similar to it, if you don't have your GED, or if you have your GED and you're out of school struggling, or your high school diploma and you're struggling, we can help. But what we do is get you in, get some services, get you prepared, then find out maybe what you're interested in. And then work with some employers to have some slots available to put you in there. So it's 6 to 8 weeks. We'll pay you $7.25 an hour. Usually it's Monday through Thursday where you work, and then Friday is kind of some follow-up workshops. Hey, how did the week go? What can we do to improve? Get some evaluation and feedback from the employer and work on that, because summer components are more like what we call a transitional program. So we want to give you skills and abilities and get that confidence like we talked about, and then try to connect you to permanent employment later on.
Right. Now, is this separate and different from the city's, 500?
Yes, sir. Yeah, separate from the Summer 500.
Summer 500, so that's an entirely different thing. Now, your internship program that we're talking about here is already going, and in fact, I think, does it go through the end of this month, or?
It should be wrapping up. It just depends on when those placements were done. So we do them all over the 10 counties.
Okay.
And I know actually today down in Brunswick, so the 3 counties there, so Camden, Glenn, and McIntosh are wrapping up today. They've got a ceremony to where they bring them in for a celebration. They're done. So our contracts go out, youth contracts go out. So we're the administrators of the funds.
Right.
So we contract with organizations to provide those youth services and adults services. And we break up the youth services in 3 counties. And then here, Chatham is a lone contract because it's just so big.
Right. Okay, and this is a thing that, I mean, it just dawned on me. I don't have any kids, and so and I'm old enough that I remember when I never went to school before September. I mean, going back to school after the summer break was always in September. Now it's apparently the very beginning of August.
Correct.
Which really somehow that just kind of dawned on me here recently when I was talking with somebody about their kid going back and, starting school here in like a week. And I said, what? Starting school in a week? But that's the deal. So, yeah, I mean, if you do a program, obviously summer to go through, say, July, as a general rule, is it's going to be going back to school time right after that. So that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, we are just about at the halfway point, so we're going to have to take a brief pause for the cause here. So just hang with us. We're going to have a very brief musical interlude, and then we're going to come right back, folks, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming is made possible by a grant from Sentient Bean, offering fair trade coffee, vegan and vegetarian food, and breakfast all day. Located at 13 East Park Avenue, across the street from the tennis courts at Forsyth Park. Our menu and special events listings can be found at sentientbean.com.
As a business, if you enjoy our programming on WRUULP, please support the station with a donation. Let your customers, neighbors, and friends know that you share our vision of building a thriving, community-based, on diverse, vibrant radio programming. As a business partner, our listeners will know you support Savannah's only broad-based community radio station. Become a tower sponsor or underwriter. To check out the levels of corporate sponsorship and to donate, go to www.wruu.org/business. Again, to check out the levels of corporate sponsorship and to donate, go to www.wruu.org/business. Thank you for listening to and supporting WRUULP. Thank you for listening to and supporting Savannah Lexicon here this morning. And we are continuing our discussion with Michael Tucker, Executive Director, WorkSource Coastal, which is, I was informed today, literally a department of the city, although there is a Byzantine organizational structure with connections going all over the place. So we won't get into all that again. But at any rate, you are here and trying your best to help folks who need a job and to give training and skills assessments and all sorts of things that the organization does. One of the things that we've not talked about that the organization does as well, I think you mentioned it, but we haven't really delved into it, is your work with veterans. What can you say about that, Michael?
Thanks, Wayne. So veterans receive, because it's federally training, receive priority of service. So, we've got 3 bases in our region: Hunter, Stewart, and then we've got the sub base, the Triton Refit Facility as well. Mm-hmm. And there's about in the region 2,000 veterans a year transition out. So the military,
wow.
Understands that, and some time ago they've made an opportunity that so the transition vets get about a year out. They'll get the orders that they're leaving. Mm-hmm. You're not going to re-up. Mm-hmm. So about 6 months into that, they're able to take training on the base. Okay. So a lot of our providers that we work with, Savannah Tech, Home Builders Institute, Georgia Tech primarily, are able then to offer services to them. So Georgia Tech, through the VET Squared, does kind of that job readiness and assessment for each veteran. It's an online program, but the military has their own called Soldier for Life that gets them prepared to go out. Mm-hmm. But what we want to do is keep as many of those transitioning veterans here in Georgia. Not a lot of them are going to stay here. Yeah. I think it's about 40%. But we want to connect them to some training, which it's free for them. Because as a transitioning veteran, they're a dislocated worker. So as long as they have that information saying they're gone, then we can pay for the training and they can do it on base. So nice. Connect them with anything that's in demand. I know through Savannah Tech, there's a welding program for Ingalls Shipbuilding. So they're able to take that class on and get connected to Ingalls, and then through any number of Savannah Tech programs as well. And the great thing about these programs, are also then trailing spouses are eligible. So if you come to Fort Stewart or Hunter or any number of the bases in the area, if your spouse has lost their job because of that transition coming with you, then they're eligible for the program as well. I mean, there aren't the restraints of being on the base and having to do your job while you're on the base. So those are available to them as well. So, the Georgia Tech program's great. It's Lean Six Sigma, more project management. So they're based in the logistics, and Georgia Tech, created project management, back in the 60s. It's a great job. It's also has an internship in the connection. And these are probably your more seasoned veterans. So folks that have been in for a long time, to have those skills. And one of the initiatives we want to try to reach is some of those younger veterans that have only been in maybe 4 to 6 to 8 years, that aren't, don't have a lot of that experience, that want to stay in Savannah, but don't necessarily know what they want to do with their next step. So one of the initiatives what we have is we're working with Soldier for Life to actually place a staff member on the base. So they've allowed that. They know they need help in that. So we'll be hiring someone that's a former veteran. To be able to go spend some of their time on the base, because it's difficult for us non-veterans to get on the base at times unless they're going to meet us at the front gate. So this person will know the folks, know the lay of the land, know how to talk to veterans, and just it's all about information and connecting. The opportunities there. We've got the funding. And we want to keep these folks in our region and connect them with great jobs.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that because Lord knows veterans, deserve that kind of program to be available to them. I mean, after what they have sacrificed, really, to be a part of the armed forces on behalf of all of us, so to have that sort of thing coming out is, I think, a great thing. And really, the thing is, too, that could be almost any kind of job because, people think about, well, it's, they're soldiers. Well, what do you tell? Well, I mean, my goodness, you can do all sorts of things within the armed services, from food and food and beverage activity to warehouse stuff to construction to, management and all sorts of possibilities. As regards that, as to what you can take that into. And I've got to believe that, that's going to be, your military service is going to be a definite asset for you as you're coming out, if you're trying to transition into a civilian job. I got to believe that holds you in good stead.
Yes, there's some recent legislation to try to, if you've been driving a truck CDL for 10 years in the military, you still have to, once you get out, pay for that CDL class and pay for to be certified. So there's some recent legislation that's going to allow for the walk across of credentials. So 1-to-1 for if you get a credential in the military, that's what it is on the civilian.
Good.
So
good.
I know that they don't have that for healthcare as well. So maybe that's where that's going as well. Because if you're a corpsman, I know my little brother was a corpsman. In the Navy and went to Marine boot camp, was attached to a Marine unit in Iraq, but did all those things, saw some action over there, and when he came home, he couldn't, he wasn't certified. He couldn't get a job in healthcare. He'd have to go through and do the schooling all over. So
wow, that's not right. No.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right.
No, I agree. Well, I'm glad to hear that something's moving along those lines. I hope it goes through and we get that squared away, because that's as good an experience as you'll ever get.
Yes, sir.
One
yes,
would
sir.
think, of whatever field you're talking about. If you're in the armed services, they do things, they run a tight ship, as they say, I suppose. So that's going to have really good real world and classroom training involved in it. So I hope that comes through. All right, well, we're getting very close here on time, Michael, but I don't know what kind of closing out as we go here. And again, it's WorkSource Coastal and worksourcecoastal.org as the web page. The local office and kind of training and work center is Savannah One Stop, 7216 Skidaway Road, Suite C. Phone number on that, 354-6174. If you happen to be in Rincon or Hinesville, there are offices there as well, and also offices in some other cities in the coastal area. All sorts of training available through that. Of course, there's a lot of information online, correct?
Correct.
And again, if you look at it and you want to pursue anything, then the phone number might be the way to go, and just kind of touch base with somebody. So what, closing out, what would you like to say? We're good initiatives that you're doing with and through the city of Savannah and for the city of Savannah. Anything new on the horizon, or any particular aspect of things we haven't covered or what have you that you want to get in before it's all over with?
Well, we're branching out. We talked a little about outreach. Had a meeting with Union Mission today. We're gonna start putting folks over at their office to connect folks with services there, because we know being on Skidaway, it is on the bus line, but folks can't get to it. Get to us. Our service center is nice and wide open. It's a lot of colors. It is. We try to make it warm and inviting as possible. And that's what our services are about. It isn't connecting you to this or that. It's about, hey, what do you need? How can we help? And let's figure that out and sit down together. Where it takes 10 minutes to connect you to something, or it takes 4 hours. We encourage
Okay.
folks to come in, spend all day there if you want, but we've got folks there that provide, I think, excellent customer service, that are there to help, because it's hard. If you've lost your job or you can't find a job, it is difficult. So the last thing we want to do is kind of put you in a little area and make this seem like it's government.
Right.
This is just a place where you can go for folks to help you and be helpful. And every person that comes in there, we want to provide some kind of value. Now, we don't always have a direct connection to a job, rapid reemployment like some folks want, but we want to provide some kind of value when you come in.
Sure. Excellent. Okay. Sounds like a very good program all the way. To me, I do, again, appreciate it so much you coming in today, Michael. I'm sure you got a busy schedule, but this is good stuff, good information for people. And, if you're seeking a job and needing a job and having a difficult situation there, then check in with them and see what they might be able to help with you if you feel so inclined. All right, we're going to take our final break as we move into the very final segment, folks. So just hang on, just another brief interlude, and I'll be back very shortly I've got some further comments to make myself on various things and some things I want to bring to your attention, as I am wont to do here in the last section of the show. So hang in, we'll get to that in just a minute. And we're back. All right. That was interesting. Hope you got something useful and good information out of our guest today. This is Savannah Lexicon. I do appreciate you tuning in this morning. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday from 8 to 9 for Savannah Lexicon, talking with folks from social services, political organizations, all sorts of different things. I take a little time here at the end of the show to just make some announcements and sometimes throw various random thoughts out your way. I do want to alert you to upcoming guests. That's one thing I want to do. So Thursday's show, we've got Alderman Bill Durrance, Alderman for generally speaking, the Landmark Historic District, and Lord knows there's lots to talk about regarding that. I've no doubt we'll get into the issue of violence in the city, and particularly here recently in the Landmark Historic District. We'll talk about maybe VRs, short-term vacation rentals, kind of that kind of situation, and any number of other issues, I'm sure. Mr. Durrance is always an interesting guest, and this will be his second or third time on the show, so I am glad that he can take the time out occasionally. Okay, next week, a week from today, my guest will be one of the founders of Unity in the Community, which is a nice organization here in Savannah, and of course they do the thing down on River Street on I think it's usually a Sunday. They on Resaca Plaza the third weekend of every month. Okay, from April to December, third weekend of every month, April to December, and they just made the news. As they took donations for kids for the community to provide school supplies for Savannah's children. So good work by this nonprofit organization. So I'm happy to have them coming on. And in upcoming weeks, throughout the month of August, I'm just going to throw some general guests who will be coming on. We will have Cindy Kelly, Executive Director for the Chatham-Savannah Authority for the Homeless. I think that's a good conversation to have here in Savannah, GA. Going to have also the Executive Director for Step Up Savannah, another organization that is very much focused on the homeless and the economically challenged, shall we say. Laudable organization there. I'm going to have a District Attorney, Meg Heap, and I am so happy she could find time in her busy schedule. That's going to be, I do know that one's going to be August 17th, District Attorney Meg Heap, and we'll certainly be talking about crime in the city and get her very knowledgeable perspective on that. She was part of a recent panel discussion on crime in the city. So that's going to be good. Got Alderman at Large Brian Foster coming in as well. So he will be another good person. Glad to always have an alderman or woman in to the show. They are always so knowledgeable about what's going on and genuinely concerned about things in the city and addressing various issues. Okay, do want to let you know about some noteworthy events and opportunities to experience things in the city. Tomorrow there will be a Life open house. It's going to this is the Living Independence for Everyone Incorporated operation, which the office is 5105 Paulson Street, Suite 143B, and they're going to have an open house, and it's sort of in recognition of what will be on the 26th, the 27th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's a good thing. For more information, 920-2414. That's going to be on the 26th, tomorrow. Also, tomorrow, free Microsoft Word class. This is an ongoing thing. The African American Health Information and Resource Center, 1910 Abercorn, from 2 to 6 p.m., taught by Microsoft certified instructors. 447-6605 is the number. And if you would like to learn to use use Microsoft Word, it's a wonderful program that can help you tremendously professionally or even in your personal life, I suppose. So that's a good thing to know. You really want to know that. Everybody in the world uses it practically. Also, free kids' meals, America's second harvest of coastal Georgia. Free meals to children from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. That is daily through July 28th at First African Baptist Church, 23 Montgomery Street. More information, 236-6750. So that's a couple of things going on. Also, if you're thinking about opportunities to volunteer, well, goodness gracious, this city has plenty of them. And you know what? These are things that really do a lot for whatever cause they happen to be associated with, but they do a lot for you too. I tell you, there's nothing quite like doing a volunteer for something that is a worthwhile organization doing good work, and being involved in that is valuable in and of itself. Fort Pulaski, as you know, was shut down by mean old Matthew last year and has been shut down ever since until very recently. It reopened, but they still need volunteers out there to help folks enjoy the experience of Fort Pulaski National Monument. They need folks who can give guided walks, be part of the historic weapons program, all kinds of things that they can use help with out there. So the person to contact is Matthew Hall, number 786-5787, Matthew Hall. So that's one thing to consider. That could be quite enjoyable in and of itself. There also are, there's a Parents of Newborns program. What a nice idea this is. First Steps Parents of Newborns. And basically they match volunteers with new families, and just to provide emotional support, maybe parenting education materials, to refer folks to various community organizations that can be helpful to new parents. Person to contact, Margaret Marie Miles, 819-6910. 819-6910, Margaret Marie Miles. So that's another opportunity for you there. Dolphin Project. Volunteers needed to photograph and collect data on coastal Georgia dolphins. Now, hey, that's good. That's good. And that could be very interesting. Program info 657-3927, 657-3927, thedolphinproject.org. And then also Rape Crisis Center. Rape Crisis Center is seeking volunteer advocates for the crisis line, and also to accompany unfortunate people who are in this situation, and to accompany them to the hospital and help them through the process in the aftermath. Contact person there, Tony Wells, 233-3000, 233-3000 for the Rape Crisis Center. I will also let you know that following me today, as usual, is going to be a very good show. Background Briefing follows me at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 is Democracy Now! So two absolutely great syndicated shows that look at things from a more national level following me. And just to repeat one more time, because I know how much it thrills you, the general disclaimer, the viewpoints expressed in the preceding program were not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder or its staff. And so I hope you have a very good day, and tune in again.